This is part 2 of the presentation of the Deep Democracy Institute certification tracks. The Deep Democracy Institute has its headquarters in the United States in Portland, Oregon. DDI has training programs on the west coast of the United States, in Europe, the Middle East, East Africa, Russia, and Central Asia. You can reach us at www.deepdemocracyinstitute.org or call 1-503-395-8694.
Let's say just same way that it works if you're a coach, you want to specialize in coaching. Let's say you're a large group facilitator. You belong to the growing body of individuals who are identifying as large group facilitators. Then you might want to specialize in group facilitation. This means you'll start out just like everybody else with coaching 1, but you still have an emphasis in your mind on facilitation. Then in phase 2, same thing. You go into group facilitation and your emphasis is also there. And then in phase 3, you continue with facilitation. We call that facilitation 2, where your emphasis is on facilitation even though you're working within the organizational realm during that time. So to make sure that's clear, these are all specialization areas. Some of you might do leadership certification, others might decide to focus on coaching, and others might decide to focus on facilitation.
If you have completed your certification, which, as you can see, we titled Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, because depending on how you study, how you learn, the amount of time and energy that you have, your own pace, that might vary from person to person, you have the possibility or the option to add an excellence year. That's been inspired by a somewhat, I think, medieval European tradition, where you learn, you study, you become an expert certified trade person. You're like a carpenter. You have learned how to make a table. You have learned how to use all the tools. And you have learned the meta skills with which you use the hammer to get the nails in it so that the wood doesn't get hurt. You're able to understand the larger functions of the table. You have made a variety of tables, so to speak. You are now complete. And for some people, that's the time, used to be the time when they went home to their hometown and started their carpenter profession. Whereas other people had other tradesmen, used to go on an additional year they used to call that Wanderschaft. You wander around and you now meet different people, different types of carpentry. You go in areas where they use woods that you have never seen before. And during that time, you develop your master, you make a masterpiece, and you come home with a particular masterpiece that shows not only are you proficient in these skills, not only are you able to use them really well, but you have reached a mastery. That's our excellence year. It's project-oriented, as is our whole study, by the way. Your main mentor group can be your guiding team from the certification, or you might even want to change it for your excellence year. And we hope that we encourage you, we challenge you that this will result in a project demonstrating excellence. A book, a film, action, a particular event that you have created for that. And finally, we are very excited to present our last certification possibility to you. And that's the Deep Democracy Diploma. We're especially excited, proud of that, and it's very dear to us. It frames a particular learning that I want to talk a couple of minutes about. Some of us are looking for something beyond deep democracy coaching, leadership, and organizational development. For some of us, deep democracy is a path, is a lifestyle. And leadership development, working with organizations, working with groups, and leading our own organization is, so to speak, the playground in which we are working on that path. It's like, think of maybe martial arts where you practice, you learn moves, you learn the meditations with it, but behind that is a approach how to get along with life and our fates. And the Deep Democracy Diploma is meant for people whose natural organic interest goes in that direction. We know from experience that people who are interested in that frequently have interest in some of the deep democracy diploma principles. For example, the world is our family. I am you. Behind that is the principle of non-locality. If you have a problem, I have it too. If I have a problem, you have it too. If I succeed and win, so will you. And if I fail, so will you. We are connected in many, many ways, and what appears to be local, meaning just you or just me in the background, belongs really to everyone. Another key principle is that nature and the earth has a wisdom of its own that guides us and makes no mistake. We have to open up to life and nature. They are our final teacher, and we find that wisdom within us. All of us have that capacity. Everyone has the ability to find a larger perspective. Nobody needs help. What people need, if anything, is the facilitation to find their own resources. And finally, what's important to us is that a person who has a deep democracy diploma is able, in even the most difficult, complicated, challenging situation, within, let's say, 24 hours, to understand themselves not only as the victim, or understand the others not only as the perpetrator, but is able to see the learning value of the situation for them, to switch sides, to understand that a deeper process is happening, and open up to that process and make something creative for themselves and for everyone involved, if the others are open to that. The Deep Democracy Diploma is, so to speak, at the center of all our trainings, and it colors the moment you have decided to join the diploma program. It colors, of course, everything that you learn and that you do.
So when does the DDI diploma start? Well, it starts with a dream. It starts with a dream or any kind of a numinous experience that you have where you feel something outside of you and bigger than your own primary intention has somehow chosen you just as much as you have chosen that path. This could happen at any time. It could happen, for example, in phase 2 when you're doing group facilitation. If you're in the coaching track, maybe it happens in coaching 3, or maybe facilitation specialization at the very end in your optional excellence year. It can happen at any time. It will happen when it happens. It doesn't really matter when it happens. It might even happen 1 or 2 years after you've finished your whole certification. And that's great. It overlays any certification that you've already done. It adds to it. Okay, so now I'm asking you, Max, so many of our students are interested in conflict resolution. So many people that we meet are interested in conflict resolution. Is there a possibility to emphasize in conflict resolution?
Yeah, see, it's getting even more complex. Imagine, for example, you have a leadership certification, as you can see here, or you have a specialization on coaching, or you have a specialization in group facilitation. In all of these, or you can mix and match, can you add an additional emphasis in conflict resolution? It's not as complicated as it sounds. Think of the following. Think of the final product. Let's say a particular person is especially interested in organizational business development. For example, that's a kind of person who might be working a lot with mergers and acquisitions, working on how large interdepartmental connections and collaboration can happen in large corporations like some of our students do. Someone who is more interested in the area of investment banking, what have you. And they would like to show in their certification that that's an area of specialization for them, but they work especially on the conflict resolution aspect of it. So their specialization, their certification will demonstrate that to the world. I have an emphasis in conflict resolution in business development. Somebody else might be a coach, might be especially interested in one-on-one conflict resolution. It's more like a deep democracy mediator or a deep democracy negotiator, negotiation coach. That will allow the person to say, I have an emphasis on conflict resolution and coaching. And as you know, about 70% of all management is dealing with conflict. So a lot of consultants actually deal with conflict resolution on large group facilitation, and they're able to show that also. So in that sense, you can say it's a mix and match, and it allows people to move when and where according to their learning, and the certification will mirror that was an area of expertise that they have especially developed.
Great. And of course, like with the others, there is the possibility to specialize in conflict resolution and to have an excellent year in conflict resolution. And also, like the others, this can be part of the Deep Democracy Diploma.